Hello, this is a very short talk and it's very, very important. A lot of the high profile TIs and a lot of the high profile websites for TIs to join and to get information from are actually, I don't know whether this is on purpose, but what is part of this program is trying to convince you that you have lost before you've even began. And Michael Aquino, in one of his books about psyops, he said that was a major strategy of these psychological operations, which targeting is. A lot of it is psychological. It's meant to undermine your psyche and create hopelessness and make you, convince you that you've already lost, that there's no point trying, there's no point using shielding, there's no point doing anything, going to court, there's no point trying this or trying that because you've already lost before you've began. And part of the strategy of these websites and these individuals, these very high profile TIs, although they are speaking a lot of the truth, they are explaining how the targeting is being done, or in some cases what is being done to them. But if you look at the bigger picture, what they are communicating is hopelessness. You're wasting your time trying. And this has been going on for a long time. This isn't just one comment or two comments. This is a constant showing that it's hopeless, it's pointless, that you have already lost before you've begun. And I'll reiterate what I just said about Michael Aquino. If you don't know anything about Michael Aquino, I think you should Google him. And he's an intelligence officer, and he believes in mind control, and he's actually written books on mind control and psychological operations. And what is being used on TIs is a psychological operation, and part of the strategy of convincing people that they've already lost before they've began, that they're outnumbered, that they are the arms, that the weapons are too much for somebody to deal with. The strategy of that is to get the person to give up, to not even fight. And of course, that will save energy on the part of the attacker. It will save weapons on the part of the attacker. It will save money on the part of the attacker. And it will get the attacker exactly what they want, which is a compliant slave. So I'll go back to these websites and these high-profile individuals, and also people that comment on forums as well. A lot of it is communicating hopelessness, which isn't going to do anybody any good, because if people can be convinced that their situation is dire, then and there's no point fighting, or there's no point shielding. And quite a few TIs, especially the high-profile ones, and I do believe they are speaking a lot of the truth about targeting. But what the overall effect of this, it's pointless. You can't shield. It's and you can't do this. You can't. Is to create. Is to put people off trying. Put people off trying to save themselves. And it's a very, very negative outlook. And if you look at the program overall, one of the actual aspects of it is to get people to commit suicide. And if not, it certainly feels like that, because it's tearing apart everything about a person that makes them human. And if one is subject to this program and being victimized in this way and attacked with weapons, etc., and other things, psyops, gangstalking, all that, then if they can be convinced that their situation is hopeless, that the person doing this to them has so much power, so much armament, and that it's futile, then suicide would be quite likely. I won't say in every case, because some people can see through this. And I'm hoping that by putting this out, I'm helping other people to see that this is one of the strategies, that it is to convince you that it is futile, it is hopeless, you can't shield, you are going to die, it's going to get worse. That's one thing that seems to be being communicated with these websites and also with these high-profile TIs, that it's going to get worse. Therefore, if you are in this pickle and it's going to get worse, you might as well check out. To me, that is a very obvious strategy that they're using, and it is the same strategy in the Michael Aquino's psyops and mind wars, where they get the person to believe they're outnumbered, that there's no chance of a victory even before they've begun. And of course, that saves money, weapons, all sorts of things. It saves expense and energy. There's also quite a lot online where people are TIs, but they're also taking into discussion the wider aspect of it, which is fine. But to do this day and night is, again, to use energy. That energy could be spent on trying to find a solution. Yes, it is good to know what's going on in the world. It is good to know where all this is coming from and have one's eyes opened. But it's necessary to take time out from that, because although your conscious mind will tell you that you can shut off from it, unfortunately, to read about negativity and the disastrous state of the world and how it is and how evil people are day and night will affect you negatively. And it may just be a surface kind of hopelessness, a surface kind of depression. And all this is conducive to eventually getting people to give up. It's all about taking energy from people by increments. I'm not saying live with rose-tinted glasses. I'm saying that you need balance. And I think a lot of these high-profile TIs and on a lot of these forums and some of the websites, that this is being pushed constantly rather than about taking some form of action yourself. You know, it's the some of the websites seem to be asking you to get them to do it. Just sign your name, give your email or whatever, and check into this website, and we'll do all the work. That may or may not be true, but at the same time, I think it's very important to take responsibility for your own targeting. And just because somebody says who's a high-profile TI you can't shield, or that this is happening or that, I think you should also look at your own situation, take a step back, and try things. Be individual. Try things. Try new things. Research things. Do things on your own. Don't just rely on the information from the high-profile TIs and the information from the big websites and the forums and things like that. There's a lot of disinformation, and that's, to me, that's quite obvious when there's disinformation. I mean, I've had read things on forums that have definitely related to something that I have said, and this is unequivocal, because it's just so precise that I think that is a way of feeding back information to TIs as well. That's quite obvious. What isn't so obvious is the spending hours looking for something and not finding it and getting led astray and ending up in a negative mood and slightly hopeless, which is what the psyop is about, creating. Just give up, you know. Don't bother to fight us. We're so big and powerful. And some of the high-profile TIs, I believe, what seems to be occurring is they are showing us that there is some hope in either legal proceedings or some other kind of thing, such as shielding or whatever. And then they are saying, well, that's gone down the drain, it's not working. So we sort of ride along with them, if you like. We're sort of like pillion, because we're watching, we're looking, oh, how are they doing? How's the court thing doing? How is this doing? How's that doing? And then, of course, when it doesn't work out, we're convinced even more that, oh, it's hopeless. I won't try that. It's hopeless. And I think that is part of the strategy. Okay, thank you. God bless.